Hey everybody, this is Eric Evans. I am here for the CSMP webinar. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. This is hosted by the cybersecurity nonprofit, csmp.org. We are a 501(c) nonprofit organization that is dedicated to security education and awareness for all. Thank you for joining us today on the webinar. Next week, don't forget to join us as the Chicago chapter presents Webinar Wednesday on Kubernetes and Zero Trust. This is Privilege Access and Secrets Management, hosted by Odin Harvin. He is the CEO and co-founder of Achilles. This will be next week at August 5th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you to our sponsor, Achilles, for this. If you would like to join CSMP, please check out our website at csmp.org. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Everything is found over here. Before we go ahead and start the webinar, I want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Eric Evans. I am a senior cloud security consultant at a consultancy called ScaleSec. We specialize in Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud Platform. I have been a DevSecOps practitioner for a while now. I have a background in software engineering, and now I've been putting my skills to use in cloud engineering and cloud security specifically. Have over a decade of IT experience. I've done everything from help desk to eventually cloud security. I am also on the board of directors here at the cybersecurity nonprofit, and we are a global nonprofit organization that provides free and accessible security education. I'm also an organizer for the HashiCorp user group here in Atlanta. Please check me out on GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn, and my blog. Today's topic is how and why to pursue a career in cloud security. So cloud security has been a big topic for a number of reasons. That everything is kind of moving to the cloud nowadays, especially with the current COVID-19 crisis. Folks are learning the value of becoming remote and doing things in the cloud and so on. This also includes moving data centers to the cloud and everything like that. So cloud security is an extremely important topic. I've seen it done in many different ways. And I can't wait to get started on how you guys can actually pursue a career in cybersecurity and why. So I'll go ahead and get started with the why first, because it's good to know why you want to do something before you're like, well, how do I get there? I think the first thing is, let's go ahead and define exactly like what cloud security is and how that kind of can be contrasted with traditional IT security. So with cloud security, you typically have third-party data centers. A lot of times it'll be a public cloud. The ones that I showed before were like AWS and GCP and Azure. Each one of those is either through Google, Microsoft, or Amazon. So those would be your third-party data centers. Whereas in traditional IT security, your servers are actually in-house. So that's why I say it's important, especially in our era of COVID-19, to not be like on-premise and instead just have others kind of manage the cloud for us. With cloud security, you have like low upfront kind of infrastructure investments. So that means that you're really just paying for infrastructure whenever as you use it, essentially. Whereas in traditional security, you have to buy servers and kind of like install them and so on. Quickly scalable in the cloud as well. So with the cloud, you can easily scale things in and scale things out very easily. It's elasticity is actually very appealing to many folks. Whereas in a server environment, you'd have to literally buy servers, put them in a rack, install them, configure them. That takes a lot of time. A lot of time and effort to actually get that done. With the cloud, you get more efficient resource utilization, whereas in traditional kind of clouds, traditional IT security, it's kind of like a longer time to market, or lower efficiency as far as resource utilization goes. And then time to market, you get a higher time to market in the traditional IT one. You get a lower time to market in the cloud one. And again, cloud is usage-based costs versus the higher costs that you would typically see with IT security. So I already got a question, it looks like. And guys, feel free to put in any questions, guys and gals. Put in any question that you want here in the webinar, and I'll be happy to answer for you. This question is from Will. Why do you need specialized cloud security and can't leverage traditional security? It all has to do with the nature of the cloud, right? What are you securing? With traditional cloud security, you have different things that you have to worry about. You actually have to worry about physical security, for instance. So if you've ever taken an exam like the Security Plus, for instance, you'll be tested on things like how to use the correct fire extinguisher to extinguish a fire that happens in your data center. That's just simply that one example is one thing that you wouldn't have to worry about in the cloud, for instance. So yeah, I mean, specialized cloud security, you'll find out later on in this that there's traditional security concepts that do come into play, and cloud security is a good way to kind of like get into the traditional IT security aspects of it as well. So yeah, that's a really good question. Cloud security also has like a lower barrier to entry, and it's mainly because it's mainly because there's a lot of, you can get started with the cloud very easily. There's a lot of free resources that you can use out there to kind of get started with cloud security. It's very easy for you to like get hands-on experience. So again, in traditional data center kind of security, you're going to have to buy servers to actually work on. You have to buy networking equipment. You have to configure that network equipment. Whereas in a cloud kind of way, you can just simply get a AWS GCP free account, right? And then once you have that free account, you can have a server ready in seconds, essentially just by clicking around in the console. So it's a very low barrier to entry as far as like getting hands-on experience, and definitely leverage the free tiers of your cloud providers to provide like that no cost experience whenever you're in the cloud. So another very appealing thing about the cloud is not only is the hands-on experience basically low cost, low barrier to entry, but so is the cost of education and certifications within the cloud as well. So you can find low to free cost certifications. Oracle Cloud offers free cloud certifications. That's one thing that can be very useful to kind of get your foot in the door, put on your resume and say, hey, I'm cloud certified in this particular public cloud. I know that I can figure out any other public cloud. I can apply a lot of those principles that I've learned to other public clouds as well. And even when they're not free, a lot of certs are less than or equal to $100. You can get the AWS Cloud Practitioner for $100, for instance. And AWS is the biggest public cloud. So you can say I'm AWS certified just by using free resources and getting that low barrier cost entry certification. Azure certificates, I know, are given out from time to time. You have to go to one of Those Azure days, kind of listen to someone talk about Azure Cloud, and then at the end of the session, you would be given a free voucher to do that and take the test and eventually pass it. So I got another question. Is the AWS certified security specialization useful to start a career in IT security? And assuming you already have professional experience in software engineering. Yes, it is. Because the concepts you learn in the AWS certified security specialization apply a lot to traditional data center security as well. You learn about things like firewall configuration, identity and access management, what a web application firewall is, for instance, how to secure like a CDN, how to properly subnet. These types of things are all covered in the AWS certified security specialization, and those concepts, that are easy to get hands-on experience thanks to the elasticity of the cloud and the easy, like barrier to entry to get into the cloud, translate directly well, not extremely directly, but pretty direct to IT security. So that's a really good question. I hope I answered that. If you would like any elaborations, let me know. Another big thing about the cloud is community support. So you can always ask questions similar to how you would for software, for instance, on AWS and GCP things. You can go to forums. I know Stack Overflow is one. You can ask things on GitHub issues. All those kind of things really help with cloud security as well. Not only that, but you can ask folks like myself and other cloud security practitioners who are active on social media, for help, and we're always, typically happy to help any questions that you may have with it. There's meetups, right? There's AWS, GCP, Azure, even just general security meetups. Here at CSMP, for instance, we talk about the cloud from time to time. So definitely, check us out, continue to be involved, and if that's your thing, you will definitely find that you are in good company. Another lower barrier entry to the cloud is that you don't necessarily need to be super technical. I think I've mentioned before that that you can really just point and click in the console and get these security concepts down. To spin up a VM, it's just pointing and clicking. And then to set up firewalls, it's also pointing and clicking. And I'm not going to insult your intelligence that you don't know how to use a computer, but if you know how to use a computer and you know how to sign up for stuff, then you can eventually get to the cloud with a very low barrier to entry. So you don't have to be like highly technical and specialized. Having those skills is great because, as I've said before, things in the cloud is turning to software. So it's really good to have those skills, but they're definitely not necessary to get a job. All right, so I've got some questions here in the Q&A. I just got my Azure admin certification for starting out in cloud security. Should I aim for Azure security cert or go with an AWS cert? This is a good question. If you already have expertise in one cloud, and in this case, Azure, I would definitely say go for the Azure cert. This way it is, it's just, easier to apply like that kind of terminology to your Azure security certification rather than trying to learn the new terminology. So each cloud, Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon, all of these other clouds have their own like technical terms. One example is like GCP calls it a firewall rule, whereas AWS calls it a security group, and they're very similar type of things. So definitely just go for your Azure cert. That would be a good, what I'd recommend. Another question, what would you suggest for someone with no IT security experience wanting to get into the industry? Where to begin first? Start off with just spinning up some instances in the cloud, learning those kind of like fundamental concepts, like, what is a server? Use like the free resources out there to be like, this is how, like a server works. This is how a firewall works. And then, when you have again, this cloud security stuff kind of, it translates to traditional IT concepts as well, in the security way, but also in the networking way, and also in the sysadmin way, and so on, which I'm going to show later on. But all of these skills are applicable, not just from cloud security, but also to traditional data security as well. So that's where I'd recommend to begin first, is sign up for your free like AWS GCP trial and get into it. Another question is, which cert would you recommend to get first between AWS, GCP, Azure, or others, or are they all equally as good? So that's a good question, and it really depends on what kind of job you want. Typically, you would have something in mind, saying like, oh, I want to work, with this company, and I know this company specializes or uses or leverages AWS or GCP or Azure. But if you don't have a company in mind, I would say go with the one with the most market share. And in this case, it's AWS. So I'd recommend to get AWS certifications first. Also, in my experience, there's a lot more educational material out there for the AWS certifications than there are for the other clouds. So that was a good question. What are some free learning resources and forums? You know what? I'm going to hold this question for now, because I do have some later slides that'll show you some of the free learning resources. So just hold on, William. I will definitely get to your question. In fact, here's the slide for it. So all the cloud providers have lots of free documentation to kind of like use as guides to get used in the cloud. Because obviously, if you know more about that cloud, you're going to be using it more. So that's why they've invested a lot into their documentations. So it's one of those things where you can look up AWS documentation and go ahead and get started with like EC2 and RDS and all that good stuff. There's many tutorials, there's quick starts, there's hands-on exercises that are all for free. And here's some of the free resources that I'd recommend for cloud. So Coursera is a good one. And what it is just free courses to build your tech skills. And just check this out. You can start learning machine learning. You can start learning like building conversational experiences, cloud computing basics, cloud platform fundamentals, and so on. Introduction to identity, which is a security concept. Those are some really good trainings. You have Udemy courses that are also free. And I filtered this one by cloud security, but you can learn like SSH basics, infrastructure security, and so on. All of this, again, for free. And a lot of these comes with like evaluations and quizzes that kind of verify your knowledge. And in particular for Coursera, you get like a certificate of completion at the end, which is a resume builder. Say, I have completed cloud identity. I know that this can be used in this job that I'm applying for, and so on. Free tutorials on other sites. So HashiCorp is one. So if you don't know HashiCorp, it's they're a cloud automation company. They specialize in cloud automation software. And so if you're not too technical, they can take you from learning the fundamentals to kind of getting up to a certification. But you can learn about like how to provision like automated infrastructure in the cloud. Again, cloud is becoming a lot more software. So learning these tools are going to be very, very helpful. And they're free, right? And so let me just click into here a little bit. You can literally just get started with this thing. And you can see that each one kind of has like different topics, and it shows how many minutes each topic would take. And you get to learn like other things like Kubernetes, for instance, with the infrastructure stuff. And you can say getting started with all these different clouds. You don't even have to choose like a specific cloud. You just you can learn about all of them. It goes through like everything with introduction of like why you want to use this tool, all the way to like installation. And then installation is like, all these different things that you can use for that. So they really do start at the lower level and build you up. Things on Google Cloud, Quick Labs gives you like hands-on experience as well. And these are just fantastic resources that I even use to learn cloud stuff. So if you're like new to Google Cloud, it'll start you from zero to hero with the hands-on type of thing too. These are self-paced labs, so they're not like anything where they're going to hold you up to like any kind of like schedule. You learn on your own time. And you see how it's like, this is an introductory lab. And when they say lab, that means you're going to get hands-on experience. Again, this is very important, because even if you do get a certification and a certificate of completion, that's only your foot in the door in a job interview. They're going to ask you about specific scenarios. And if you have this lab experience, it's going to help you out with that. It's like, okay, what are the steps to actually set this up? Like, what do I click on in the console to set this up? You'd be able to answer these kind of questions. And all this is, again, free material that's easily and readily accessible for you to use. There's one for Amazon Web Services as well, and I filtered this one by security as well, because we're talking about security. You learn about things like identity and compliance, securing your cloud, all these videos and e-learning modules, the difference between security groups and network ACLs. I'm sure you're going to love that, right? And again, all this stuff can translate back into traditional IT as well. Or maybe you want to stick in the cloud like I did. I love it. It's great. Very easy to just do. So we did have some more questions that are open here. So how is the CompTIA Cloud Plus recognized in the industry? Yeah, I'm sure it is. That one is pretty good because it's vendor neutral. So if you don't want to commit to just one cloud, saying like AWS, Google, or Azure, you could be like, well, I have the Cloud Plus, which shows that I know fundamentals about the cloud. It is my recommendation to go ahead and go for like one of the AWS or Azures or or GCPs, just because those tend to be a little more common and more recognized whenever your resume is there, because typically the employer has like a specific cloud in mind that they want to do. Like for instance, maybe they already signed that deal with AWS and they're like, I'm looking for AWS people. At least you'll have a shot, a higher shot, because you can figure out that, oh, AWS has the majority market share. I want one of those certifications so that more employers can see me. So that's a really good question. Another question, I'm a senior cybersecurity analyst with 5 years experience in a CISSP, congratulations, by the way, with some cloud experience, none in the enterprise. I want to transition to cloud security next year. I'm thinking about getting the CCSK or CCSP cert, and then AWS Associate and Azure Associate. Do I think that's a good idea? I think that's a fantastic idea. Again, the CCSK or CCSP are 2 vendor neutral certifications, so that gives you the foundations. And then you get a little bit you get specialized whenever you go into either AWS or Azure. I think that's a great idea, and I wish you the best of luck. William asks, do you know of a Terraform-like infrastructure as code for setting up security DLP on different environments? Terraform does that for you. I wish I can go more into it with this. You know what? Hit me up on like LinkedIn or my email or anything like that. I will be happy to talk to you more about how to set up like security and DLP and stuff like that using Terraform, but that's exactly what Terraform does. So thank you for that question. Another question, my background is in software development. Hey, me too. So I would like to know if your background in development experience can help you with cloud security role. So how? So software helps you because everything in the cloud is turning to software. Meaning that, so you can point and click in the console, which is, like I said, a low barrier to entry. So if you're new to tech and you want to just, or new to cloud, and you want to kind of like, not jump in both feet, but jump in like, a foot at a time, a step at a time, it's easy to point and click in the console. But whenever you're doing things at scale, whenever you start working for companies, they're going to want, hundreds of servers, thousands of servers spin up. They're going to want very complex architecture spin up, and doing that in the cloud is definitely not scalable, and it's terrible for like a DR strategy when you have to put all that back together. It's terrible for replicating between dev, staging, and production. You'll learn that your software engineering skills will allow you to leverage SDKs in your own programming languages like Python and Node and Java and those types of SDKs can actually build cloud infrastructure. So you're getting into cloud security, you'll probably start off like as a DevOps engineer and then a DevSecOps engineer. You'll learn how to build security into your software modules and stuff like that. So not only can you build a load balancer, but you can also like test it for security vulnerabilities too using automation. That's how you're going to get your foot into the door. So yes, if you have a background in software development, you are in really good shape when it comes to a cloud security role. I hope that answers your question. Here's another one. Are CISSP and CISMs good certs to attain? Yes, they are. I mean, the CISSP is like the gold standard. You get that, you become a CISO, right? Well, just kid. But they're good for the cloud as well because you have a good security background. Whenever folks ask for like risk assessments associated to the cloud, for instance, or policy associated with the cloud, you already have that CISM or the CISSP, you're golden, and you have a specific niche that isn't covered by folks from like a software development background, for instance. So that's definitely a good question, and I hope that that helps out. Another question is, what job finding resources do you recommend? LinkedIn, Indeed, and so on. LinkedIn, gosh, I get way too many messages from recruiters, and that's, helped me out in the past. So I would definitely recommend LinkedIn. I can't think of many others at the moment. Twitter, GitHub. I've even heard of folks. A recruiter did a very interesting tactic once, and that is make a pull request to one of my repositories with a job description. And so that was really funny. Yeah, definitely invest a lot in your LinkedIn and your GitHub and other social medias to kind of help yourself out in getting a career. But I definitely wish you the best of luck with that. So here's another one. I'm currently prepping my exam with CompTIA Security Plus and have taken a course for prep, although I have no previous knowledge in cybersecurity. Do you have advice for someone in your position? Yes. So first of all, I wish you good luck in your preparation for the Security Plus. But if you have no knowledge in cybersecurity yet, getting your hands on with technical stuff, like I said, servers, load balancers, and stuff like that, by signing up for like a cloud resource, or anything like any kind of free resources you can get your hands on. Just kind of learn about that. Start with the free. Don't go straight into the paid. Right. That's my opinion on things. That's the best advice I can give to you. It's just like, get your hands dirty, get started, get involved. Come to meetings, right? Go to meetups, go learn and network with like-minded people. A lot of them will teach you things that you can learn a lot faster than in an hour webinar. But I highly recommend that. Can I advertise a job you're hiring for? Post it to the website. Thanks. I don't know if you can or not. Here's a great event. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Then a HashiCorp Digital Conference. Yes, I highly recommend checking out the HashiCorp Digital Conference. And again, I've showed the HashiCorp website here. I'm a big HashiCorp advocate, but that's a good way to kind of get involved with the cloud and cloud security. And there's a lot of free trainings there, so definitely check it out. I'm interested in identity and access management. What do you recommend as a starting point? Is it an in-demand role? Yes. I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but identity and access management is an extremely important concept in the cloud. Everything is like IAM. I put IAM above like network security in the cloud. So I recommend getting your hands dirty in the cloud and learning a lot about IAM, because you can go down that rabbit hole and you can go pretty good with that as far as things go. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on now. So I think I've touched on this a lot, but the technologies you learn whenever learning about the cloud is going to be applicable to more traditional security situations. You're going to learn about Kubernetes that can be run on premise. Even HashiCorp Vault can be run on premise. Hybrid cloud is something that's commonly emphasized in your cloud security trainings. That kind of stuff is very useful. There's a lot of intersections with software engineering, DevOps, networking, and I put in here access management. So there's definitely a lot of good stuff in that. Becoming like a good cloud security practitioner is going to help you be more well-rounded in the industry. You're going to learn a lot about different types of security, because everything is so intertwined in the cloud, with everything being defined as software, with with all the different options you have in your point and click methods that you can do. It's just so easy to achieve agility in the cloud and learn a lot more. And then if you, again, set up traditional kind of things and learn specialized, you'd be working with a lot of different vendors, right? Like you may have a Dell server, you may have an HP or a Cisco switch, and you might have another Barracuda firewall. Instead, how about just have everything be like an Amazon Elastic Load Balancer, an Amazon AC2 instance? It makes things a lot easier to kind of work with that. So, and then you can see industry trends, right? This is more in the why to be involved in cloud security. Gartner research says worldwide public cloud revenues increased 20% this year. That's a lot. And that research report came out before COVID. So it's probably a lot higher now. Infrastructure services like infrastructure as a service, which is GCP, Amazon, AWS, cloud application services, which is like software as a has the highest tech growth rates at the moment. So if you want to get involved in tech, you can totally get involved with cloud, and all that stuff's going to need secure. So please just check it out. It's definitely worth it. Cloud adoption is predicted to double the percentage of organizations in 2018 by 2022. So organizations are really just going into the cloud. I mentioned the current situation is a catalyst for companies to move and adopt cloud services. Companies are being forced to adopt, right? And so it's going from cloud first to cloud now mentality. So folks are this is a necessity, right? This is something that needs to be done. You know, think about what happened last year with data breaches and stuff. All these are related to the cloud. There's Facebook, Capital One, Canva, and more. You know, like hundreds of millions of records of people's data being leaked because of the lack of cloud security. You know, through 2025, 90% of organizations that fail to control public cloud will inappropriately share sensitive data. You know, like that stuff, this is our data that's being, you know, breached and is actually being leaked out there because of the lack of cloud security. So getting a job in cloud security is actually going to make a difference to like the hundreds of millions of records of people, right? These are not records, these affect people. Like if you get your identity stolen, it's a horrible experience. You know, this kind of stuff is going to be central to safeguarding data and privacy and just improving people's lives. So if you want to make an impact, cloud security is a very good way to actually do that. So now that we've talked a lot about the why, it's good to get into the how. And I think we talked a lot about the free resources online. And you know, this is one that was just asked, any free hands-on training you'd recommend that'd be similar to cloudacademy.com. I haven't checked out cloudacademy.com, but the quick labs I showed earlier has the hands-on experience. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but there's definitely a lot of other resources like that that are similar to that. But yeah, free hands-on experience we've talked about, the free to low-cost certifications. This is, you know, how you're going to get involved into cloud security. So definitely pursue certifications. And I don't say this just to get the certification, but the journey also helps you kind of like gain the skills in order to eventually get to cloud security. You know, getting the certification is good because you will get your foot in the door, so to speak, for the actual cert, for interviews. And then let's take an example here on the left-hand side. You learn basic terminal skills online for free, and you can Google that, right? Like how to use the terminal, how to open up like, you know, like the terminal on a Mac or command line on Windows, and how to use it, right? And then you sign up for like your free account, like your AWS or GCP or whatever it may be, and that's your free hands-on right there. And then you learn, or sorry, I put this in here twice, I'm not sure what I did. But basically you learn like basic Terraform skills, use the HashiCorp study guide, and boom, you can get yourself an associate. And I'd say like, if you diligently do this, you can get a certification for very low cost. Associate, I think it's like $70. That's it. And you have something that you could put on your resume that says, hey, I can automate things in the cloud, not just use it, but automate things in the cloud. You can see your security learning path here for AWS, for instance. All of these classes are online, and don't let that classroom thing up there kind of like intimidate you. It just means that this classroom thing is like, you know, it can be in the classroom, but these are also available online for free. So you can just use AWS's training to kind of like get yourself in eventually to a security specialty. So you don't necessarily need any like the prerequisite courses. I mean, like it says optional to get the cloud practitioner. It might be good to like grab the cloud practitioner if you want to see like, okay, you know, how well am I actually with AWS before I take my security specialty exam. But, you know, in the course of 4 or 5 different classes, get a little bit of hands-on experience, you'd definitely be ready for the security specialty certification. So these are like, you know, big kind of things to get done. You get certificates of completion for a lot of these free training courses. These are resume builders, so you can put it on your resume and say that I have done this. I know how to do this. I know how to do security fundamentals. I know how to architect an AWS. I know how to do security identity and compliance. You know, all that has a certificate of completion that you can, you know, boost up your resume, especially if you're just starting out. You can get a big name association with things like Google, Amazon, even universities whenever you do like the Coursera stuff. So for instance, like the Coursera, the Coursera course can give you like hey, I have a certificate from the University of Pennsylvania, you know, or you could say like I have a certificate of completion from Google Cloud, right? So all these are different things that that you can use to kind of build up your resume. So here's another one. I found this course really valuable, but requires pretty experience to really follow all of it. Yeah, to really, like follow all the courses, you really have to just kind of like build yourself up. You can't just jump, into a course and expect to like master it in the beginning. Sometimes you'll have to like take yourself back and kind of like learn as you go. But yeah, that Udemy course, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. So it's a very cool. But yeah, use the cloud free tiers to get hands-on experience. We've talked about this ad nauseum at this. You can, actually put hands on the cloud and prove to yourself that you can secure the cloud. You can actually set up like an EC2 instance, open up a firewall, and try to do like an SSH brute force to it. And you can do that using the free tier of AWS, and then running like something locally to do that. You get a lot of, this will help again with interviews to say that I've done this stuff. Here's a project that I worked on. Here's something that I'm proud of. If you have like an idea, you can go out, put a few bucks into the cloud and be like, I want to work on a project. I want to work on a startup. You can build it without, buying those servers up front, without like hiring an IT like crew to like, manage all that. You can just simply, build stuff up in the cloud and pay for it as you use it. So whenever you don't use it, you can just spin it down and be like, oh, okay, maybe this week I don't want this up. And if you tear it down, then you're not paying for it. So you're paying per usage. And then, as you're building these things up, you secure it from the beginning. And these are really good like mock scenarios for yourself, saying, I have secured something, for an architecture that looks like maybe it's a website, or maybe it's a blog, or maybe it's just like a catalog of something that you're trying to sell. All this stuff is simple to do in the cloud, and can give you hands-on experience to actually secure stuff in different ways than you would if you were just, kind of like following the labs, for instance, which are typically very simple exercises to perform, into something that's actually tangible and something you can put on your resume. Another one is like contribute to open source projects. There's a lot of them out there that need help, and can definitely use some help. You can use the cloud free tier to test out like your contributions to open source projects. So if you're making like a new Terraform module, for instance, because Terraform it's open source, you can test it out in your cloud and be like, oh, this works, contribute it, and then your name is on there. And that looks good on your GitHub as well. So you build up your GitHub and you say, I've contributed to this module or this module or this module. And they'll be like, whoa, that's really cool. I see all these projects that you've contributed to on GitHub. I see that you can work as a team, especially when you're going back and forth with your pull requests and so on. So if you have that software background, I highly recommend looking up open source projects, checking them out and seeing if you can get involved in them. Check out the issues on GitHub and see if there's just something out there that can be that you can be of assistance to. See what you can get involved in. And then here's where I'm saying like broaden your skill set with cloud security. So cloud security intersects a lot of different things, and more than just these 6 kind of like areas. But with cloud security and networking, you learn about things like load balancing. DNS is still a big thing in the cloud. Proxies, learning like how to do SSL termination, for instance, or perhaps you're doing something fancy with containers, where you want to do like mutual TLS, or you want to pre-process data for a DLP or something like that. Subnetting, routing, that all comes into play as well. As I've said before, if you do the AWS security certification, they talk a lot about that. Hybrid content delivery networks. So another really cool thing about the cloud is that it's easy to deploy like global infrastructure. Now, of course, that's not going to run in the free tier of any of your cloud services that you're building. But if you have the opportunity to work on a project that utilizes like a content delivery network, you can control things around the world from your computer, which is really cool. Um, Software engineering comes into play with automation scripts, infrastructure as code. Those are the two that we've talked about, but also like serverless. Whenever you're like responding to things, for instance, that happen in the cloud, like if there's an indicator of compromise, use a serverless function to like remediate the issue. Um, that's also something that is very applicable to the cloud and something that you will learn if you stay in the cloud long enough. You learn about security, risk analyst kind of like skills. Log analysis is very important in the cloud. You can check like all of the different activity that happens in your cloud. So you know how in traditional data centers and stuff like that, when somebody installs like a server and everything, you don't necessarily always know like who installed it, what time did they install it, or anything like that. In the cloud, in order to provision resources, you have to use like identity and access management, and all that stuff is logged. So you can easily like figure out how things were provisioned, when they were provisioned. It's really good for like observability, and all of that is very important to like security and risk analysis, and is very applicable to the cloud. Um, IDS and IPS. So learning how to key off ideas or things in the logs, or maybe events that happen in your virtual machines that you're setting up in the cloud. So another thing is in the cloud, when you're setting up servers, you're setting up virtual machines which run operating systems like Windows and Linux and so on. And sometimes they need agents that are test for like intrusion and so on. There's a lot of open source tools out there that you can install on these instances, and that's very similar to what you would do with traditional IT security as well, except it's a lot more accessible because you're setting up the servers in the cloud, you're downloading the packages and you're installing them yourself, and it's just very easy to do, and you're doing it on your own schedule. Unless you're working for a company or you have like a deadline coming up or something like that. It's just easier to kind of like get involved with like IDS and IPS on the cloud. Security reporting. So, with all the different stuff going on, you could generate reports on the cloud. Pen testing and vulnerability assessments are definitely a thing in cloud security as well. So, you can run some of the more traditional vulnerability assessment tools like Nmap and stuff like that to kind of run scripts in your environment and see like, oh, well, you have these firewall ports open, or you have these vulnerabilities on your server. Nessus is another one that can be used in the cloud. That's completely valid. And then you can use pen testing, like you can use like the OWASP Z-Attack proxy, for instance, or Burp Suite. Those are applicable in the cloud to test for server vulnerabilities and such. And then the cloud also has like its own, the cloud, AWS, GCP, Azure have their own vulnerability assessment tools, like Amazon Inspector, for instance. GCP has like their security health analytics and their web security scanner on. That can also be used and leveraged in a cloud native type of way. Identity and access management, and so this answers a question from before, is definitely applicable in the cloud. So things like single sign-on, for instance, like using an external identity provider, like maybe you're using a third party like Okta or Ping Identity, or there's some others out there. Or maybe you're using something more traditional like Active Directory or something like that. SAML flows, OAuth flows, those types of things happen a lot in the cloud, and it's all corresponding to identity and access management. Creating policies, that's what causes a lot of cloud security breaches, is like misconfigured IAM policies. So that's a very important part of your whole entire cloud security experience as well. Secrets management. So we touched on this just a little bit with the HashiCorp tools, but learning how to like secure your credentials and secure other like API keys and things like that in the cloud is a very important skill to have. And Again, if you use the cloud enough, you will eventually run into it. System administration, so like configuring like your VMs, patching them. And you learn this, like if you take a lot of the free courses, like you could say how to do like manage VMs in AWS, and some of the free courses and things like that will actually get you the hands-on experiences for like sysadmin and for DevOps type of things. You learn about like caching and databases. Cost optimization is a big thing in the cloud because you're not buying things up front. You're being paid. You're paying for things in the cloud on a usage basis. And so learning like when's the best time to like scale down and scale up my servers. Remember how I said before, like servers in the cloud can scale up and then scale back down. Cost optimization is a big thing in the cloud, and you can learn how to do that as well. All part of system administration for the cloud. Storage and database management, like all the clouds have SQL, NoSQL types of databases that you can use to kind of get involved and secure, right? Because database security is its own thing, and so if that's something you want to get involved in, you can use like an Amazon like RDS free trial or maybe DynamoDB free trial or whatever, right? Or just work within the free tier. And then when you work within the free tier, you can learn, okay, how does like identity and access management work with this? How does networking work with this? And you can do all this for free and hands-on. Again, if you just check out the courses and look up like DynamoDB or RDS or whatever it is, you can get some really good security experience with SQL and NoSQL servers. MongoDB is another one that comes to mind. Like there's a lot of interesting things out there. Redis and Memcached are caching services. Those also come into play as far as like cloud security goes. Learning how to optimize, learning object storage is a big one. S3 buckets. I almost want to do like a poll of how many of you have heard of like S3 buckets being compromised within the past year or so. That's actually huge, like figuring out, okay, how do I properly secure like object storage whenever folks are, storing records in the cloud and so on. It's a really interesting field. And then hard drives, SSDs, like all those, like they come into play. In the cloud as well. Whenever you're configuring your virtual machines, you have to, well, you don't have to, but you can attach like virtual drives and so on. You'll learn that it's maybe a little bit different than like a traditional data center, but a lot of the concepts are still applicable. Whenever you're like resizing disks, for instance, you'd have to like SSH into an instance and learn what, like how to expand your partitions and do those kinds of things. So there's a little bit of the traditional element in there as well. And then get involved, right? So, you definitely want to attend meetups. And congratulations to everyone here because you're already looking at webinars, which is in its way its own meetup, right? So you guys are already taking like the first step into your cloud security journey here. Many presentations and discussions around like cloud security. I want to give a plug to our CSNP like R&D division as well, where we work on like open source projects. And a lot of those open source projects are done in the cloud as well. So definitely reach out to me, reach out to, just go on csnp.org/innovate, check out some of the things that we're doing. And you can definitely get involved with the cloud as well. We're looking for volunteers all the time and would definitely love to have as much help as possible. Even if you're brand new, right? Like I'll be happy to sit down and like work with you on this and get you from zero to certification. That I love to see that kind of story happen. And then I think I've mentioned before, check out GitHub. There's small and large projects out there. So I don't want to beat that dead horse, but yeah, definitely check out like different projects you can get involved in, different meetups you can get them in, attend webinars and so on. All right, cool. Well, we're getting closer to the end, so I do want to kind of wrap this up a little. So just to kind of like, wrap it up, cloud security is relatively easy to get involved in. There's a lot of low and free cost learning materials. If you haven't, seen the earlier part of the webinar, there was a couple links there. I'm sure the slides will be available after this talk as well for you to check out. You can always reach out to me if you would like some more free resources I can for you. Do cloud security projects for free, because you can sign up for an AWS GCP Azure free tier kind of thing, start working on projects. There's lots of open source opportunities out there. People are looking for contributors all the time. Their cloud security intersects with many different technology fields. Like we said before, the networking, the software engineering, the identity and access management, the risk assessment, vulnerability testing, all that all comes into play in the cloud. You have more software-based automation is important to do it right. So learning automation tools and stuff like that's not only help your resume, but also help out through your cloud security journey. There's definitely for cloud security practitioners out there. So so don't think that learning cloud is a fool's errand, because you're going to go in there, you're going to learn some stuff, you're going to get some certifications, and people are going to want to hire you. I mean, it's just that simple. If you put AWS certified on your LinkedIn and you start doing some networking through like meetups and stuff like that, I would be highly surprised if you don't get some job offers. Or some interview offers, I should say. And then you have to do well in the interview. That's when your hands-on experience comes into play. You do well in the interview, you're going to definitely get a job. It's very easy to get started in that way. You do have to put in some effort though, but it pays off in the end. And then there's many opportunities to make a difference out there for privacy and security, definitely. So, and that's it. Thank you, everybody. I'm now open for questions and answers, as I was the whole entire presentation, but please ask away. Type in your question and answers here in the Zoom, and I'll be happy to talk. I'll also unmute anybody. You just raise your hand, I'll unmute you, and I'll be happy to chat in person as well here. But thank you, everybody. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Looks like we have one question from Jen Kim. As a new to IT, is there entry-level cloud security role available? If not, what's a good role to apply before moving up to a cloud security role? And also, how different is it from the development interview process to cloud security role interview? Oh man, this is a good couple of questions. So as a new person to IT, a good role to apply to before moving up to a cloud security role would be maybe a software developer, a junior, maybe DevOps role, a sysadmin role would probably be a good one if you want to move your way up to cloud security. Even help desk in its own right helps out with moving into a cloud security role if you're new to IT. Getting basic fundamentals of the technologies that you'll work with down in the beginning kind of helps build you up. And then when you start taking some of those courses, maybe you'll catch on to things faster and kind of be able to skip a lot of the introductory stuff and kind of move into the meatier parts of cloud security. So I definitely recommend those roles. Also, how is it different from the development interview process? So they ask a lot more about risk. They ask a lot more about configuration. They ask a lot more about sysadmin topics. So in a development interview process, they ask a lot less about theoretical kind of things and more practical. So in a developer interview process, for instance, you may be asked about what is the most efficient algorithm to achieve this process? What is the most what is the data structure? They may ask about arrays and object-oriented programming and stuff like that for a development process. You don't see a lot of that in cloud security. In cloud security, they're going to ask more about how do you test for vulnerabilities in the cloud? How do you design a resilient architecture for a 3-tier web application, for instance? So that would be the difference between the development interview process to cloud security role interview. Would be a lot less computer science and a lot more practical type of things, which is why I emphasized throughout this presentation, the hands-on learning, because if you have that hands-on experience, that's when this is going to do you well in an interview, because folks ask about that hands-on experience. They want, companies want to hire folks who can come in and start doing things and be confident about the decisions that they're making, especially when there's security related decisions, and especially when they're public facing services that are hosting sensitive information in the cloud. So all that is important to know beforehand, to do well in an interview. And if you go through courses and have the hands-on experience, you definitely feel good about an interview. But I hope that answers your question. Wow, no more open questions yet. Oh, here's another one. I am doing a mid-career transition and I'm looking to move into cybersecurity. Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very much into privacy and security and I want to make a difference in that field. Great. Is studying for the CompTIA Security Plus and then moving into cloud security a good path in my opinion? Yeah, I think so. I think, as I've said before, certifications like the Security Plus does very well in getting the basics of security down, and I think it's really cool to have those basics down before you jump into cloud security. And I think it's very good option to do your Security Plus first and move into cloud security. So I wish you the best of luck on that. If there's any other meetup groups you recommend, I'd be interested in what they are. So definitely check out CSMP, right? Like we do cloud security stuff all the time. Find your local chapter, get involved, volunteer. That's a very good one. Some other meetup groups I highly recommend are like AWS meetup groups, the HashiCorp user groups. Find a HashiCorp user group in your area. They'll teach you a lot about cloud security. The Google development group is also a really good one if you want to learn more about Google Cloud. I know Microsoft has some as well. I'm not a Microsoft person, but there's definitely some Azure meetups out there. And then just general security, ISC squared is good. ISSA is good. OWASP does a lot with web application security, so definitely check out OWASP as well. And then what's your take on cybersecurity and virtual reality? I've built a few virtual environments and wondering if that'd be crucial for future development. Oh, that's a really good question. VR is becoming a thing for sure, especially in our current times when we can't physically be at a location. There's a lot of innovation going on in that area. And the cool thing is, with the cloud, you can launch these VR services. Everyone's trying to be like number one in VR and AR and all those types of kind of realities. And just having that foundational cloud knowledge, learning how to secure it is going to be a very niche kind of skill. Is it crucial for future development? So, or how that might be crucial for future development. So if you have that special skill set of like securing virtual reality and stuff like that, then that's going to differentiate you from other candidates that may be trying to do the same job. And so if it says, hey, I've learned a lot about VR and securing those environments, then I think that's going to differentiate you from other folks in the career. So definitely good question. I like that question. Thank you, everyone, for that. Do you think AI and automation will decrease security roles in the future? Yes, 100%. I would love to talk about that a little bit, but I do think the robots are taking over and doing automated analysis of like logs and automated incident response detection. I might do that in a future webinar and like how that works in the cloud, but AI and automation is going to decrease security roles in the future. That's my personal prediction. Definitely not an official one, but I think everything's trending that way. All right, well, I think we're at time. Thank you everyone for a fantastic webinar. If you would like, to hang around a little bit more, I am happy to let you, answer any more questions. I'm happy to unmute people if they want to talk. Just let me know. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Eric. Don't know if
Hey,
you can
Jin,
hear
how's
me.
it going?
Yeah,
Yes, I
thanks
can hear
for
you.
thanks for answering my
I-
question before. And These are really informative, like information that I'm getting, and I would love to kind of ask one more questions, which is, like I know I'm jumping in like in a gun here, but with the current conditions of quarantining and everything like that, how did your day-to-day responsibility change? And is it is it more like a remote kind of job, or do you have to be in the office as a cloud security role? Um,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a good question. So I'm a cloud security consultant, and before all this happened, I would travel a good bit. And so instead of like being, on premise with folks and kind of like reading their body language and everything, I've been able to do everything remotely through Zoom, through WebEx, whatever they use, and that's been very. It hasn't been too bad of a transition since I was already in the cloud pre-pandemic. So being in the cloud is, I don't want to say it's like a pandemic proof career, but it really like it kind of helps ease that bump, so to speak, versus a traditional kind of job. Definitely.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Great. Anyone else? I haven't been paying attention to the chat as much as I was the Q&A, but if anyone else has any other questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm going to go ahead and just head out. Thanks, everyone.